Good evening and welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Joshua Solomon, and my fearless co-host, J.P. Marzullo. The Honorable J.P. Marzullo is still out hunting down the commies and throwing them back over the border into Massachusetts where they belong. We don't mind Massachusetts folks moving up here as long as they start voting conservative and don't mess up New Hampshire. Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades, as always, is brought to you by the Wilson Hill Pistol Club right here in Manchester at 1732 Lakeshore Road, the oldest sports shooting club in New Hampshire. You can find us at wilsonhillpistol.org. You can get the training schedule. You can contact the board of directors. You can contact me, and you can come and join. We do not have a waiting list like most firearms clubs in New Hampshire. So. Tonight, we have a returning guest, one of my favorite guests, Terry Roy. How you doing, Terry?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. Chairman of the criminal...
Yeah, still chairman of the Criminal Justice Committee. Been doing that now. Gosh, this is my fifth, sixth year. It seems like forever.
Yeah,
for quite a while. Yeah.
Well, you've got the background in it as a former police officer, military, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
I've been steeped in criminal justice since I was a juvenile delinquent myself.
We won't talk about that.
But thankfully, I went the right way, yeah. So it's I think it's probably the most exciting committee in the House because we see, you know, the other committees. I'm sure their stuff is important to them. Health stuff, I mean, that's important stuff, schooling, but criminal justice is things that affect, you know, people going away for a long time.
Well, it affects everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have a stake in how that comes down. And I agree with you about the fun part. Gary always had fun stories to tell about being on criminal justice.
Yeah.
And it does affect all of us, right?
It does.
You know, what's the statistic? Somebody actually did a research that said if we were all convicted of all the crimes we commit, it's like the average American commits 3 felonies a day.
Yeah.
Right?
I used to tell people you couldn't drive 1 mile across town with me behind you without finding a legal reason to pull you over.
Right.
So we've got more laws than we need.
Right. Exactly.
And that's why I try to kill.
And that's why it affects all of us.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always advocated we want less government, right? And I tell folks like you, when I vote for you and you go to the legislature or you go to Washington, hopefully we get some people I vote for going to Washington this time around.
That would be nice.
You know, everybody complains about gridlock.
That's
I don't
great.
care.
Those are the best years.
I want you to go down there and get rid of laws that we don't need, or gridlock the addition of new laws.
Yeah.
Don't put new crap in there. I would rather have gridlock than any new laws at all.
When Congress was shut down, it was the best time in the world. I mean,
It was.
We were
and
safest.
The market went up. We were all doom and gloom, and the market goes up. Because you know what? Nobody gives a damn about 87,000 IRS agents who don't get paid.
Yeah. My heart does not.
If you're not working, you're not auditing me. I don't care.
Yeah, and nobody seemed to really be inconvenienced by that. I mean, I'm sure a few people were, but for the most part,
the grocery store was still open.
Yeah, I didn't seem to notice anything different. And my taxes are still the damn same, so I don't know. But yeah, this year in criminal justice, we got a lot of bills. We got 80 bills, and usually we average about 50, and it
really?
takes, yeah.
Well, how does that bode for the rest of, because last year, what we were at, like 1,200 total amongst
I think we got 1,400 this year, I think.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know why.
There are going to be some marathon late nights, 2 a.m. sessions this year.
I hope not. If we get our bills out in time and we hold enough sessions, we won't need to do that. And so I'm cranking through them. I scheduled 15 today. We got through 13 of them, I think.
Okay.
And I'm executing them right after we do them.
And so, tell me how this works. It's the beginning of the year. So obviously, it's a new session. We're rolling these things out. You've got 80 bills.
Yeah.
You cranked through 13 of them. When you say that, these weren't heard. These aren't public sessions.
No,
yet.
they're public hearings.
So the public hearings are already taking place.
Yes, they were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are. Like today, the first bill of the day was scheduled, I think, for an hour, and it took over 3, and it was the campus carry bill.
Tell us about that one. That one's an interesting one, especially since we had some campus issues recently.
Yes, indeed, and that even came up. It's really, this is the type of bill that I struggle with, and I like because I struggle with it. On the one hand, you think, okay, you've got all these young people in these frat houses, they're drinking, you know, geez, you add a gun to that situation, and then you're like, and I said this in the committee, as I look through the Constitution, I don't see anywhere where it says no frat brothers. You know, there's, listen, we may want a utopia, but that's not what we've got. And we have a Constitution that tells us how to run this government. So we may say, you know, it'd be safer if we could just do that. We don't have the ability to do that. My hands are tied. I cannot allow you to infringe on the rights of people who are old enough and are legal to possess firearms just because they're going to your school. So we passed that bill. So if it were to go through and the governor were to sign it, they can no longer restrict people from carrying firearms at school at UNH.
And so does this apply to private colleges and universities, or it's government funded?
Government. Any university that accepts government funding, which is every university in the state, I'm pretty sure, accepts some money. So it would be all the schools in the state that they can't do that. Now, it's got to go to the Senate, and I would not object to leaving the university some wiggle room. For example, at a football game where you've got all these people together.
Crowd control.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, because you can't go to a Patriots game with a gun.
Right.
And so they don't, I think that's a reasonable thing.
But I think some of those can be reasonable. What bothers me about those types of things, like, I don't like crowds anyway.
Yeah,
and you're probably
neither.
Like me. Yeah. You know, we've got our head on a swivel every time we're in a large crowd because we don't know. Right, you know, I walk into a theater and I'm like, okay, there's an exit there, there's an exit there, and you're just watching, right?
Yeah.
What bothers me about stuff like that is if I do go to the airport and I go through security, okay, I'm through security, and I know that everybody else went through security, and for the most part, we're in a safe situation. Same at the football stadium. You go down to Gillette Stadium, you're going through all of the security measures and the wanding and all of that business. In those situations, the security at those venues is responsible for your safety.
That's correct.
Right? I know that these people, there are armed guards, there are armed people around Gillette Stadium, there are armed people around the airport. Once I have disarmed myself, this is no secret, we carry on this show. Once I've disarmed myself, I have put my faith into the people to protect me and my family.
You've entered into a contract.
Exactly. That's what bothers me when I go to a big box store or a mall and you see on the sign it says no firearms allowed on these premises. The same with a hospital or whatnot. I walk into a hospital, I walk into one of these stores, I walk into any other place where I don't have to go through security. These people are not responsible for my safety.
No.
I'm in a gun-free zone. I'm in a kill zone.
Which is where all these shootings happen.
And that's where every one of them happen, like on a campus, on a school. These are places where they want to be gun-free, they want to be a safe place, but they will not take responsibility for my safety in this safe place.
And I asked the chief today, the chief of police, and he's a great guy, of UNH Police. I feel sorry for him, and I told him, you're in a tough spot. I said, right now, you have to provide, and he said, I am ultimately responsible for the safety of everyone. I said, but you can't guarantee it, though. How long would it take you? I mean, if someone with a modern sporting rifle went into one of these auditorium classes, how many people do you think you could kill before you got there? You know, he's like, well, he kind of hemmed and hawed, but he admitted a lot of them. So, but if somebody had a gun in there, they might only get a few, and it could save how many lives? And he's like, well, then we have to worry about who has a gun and who doesn't when we get there.
But we don't, right?
No.
Because unfortunately, the majority, I say unfortunately, I mean, but a majority of Americans don't carry, right?
There's only going to be a couple.
And it's good that those of us who do have trained ourselves. And we've trained ourselves both with the firearm and with the legalities and the decision-making process, the OODA loop that you have to go through when a crisis occurs. So unfortunately, when there is a large shooting like this, very few times there's a good guy with a gun there.
Yeah.
Right? But when there is, it's over like that.
Yes.
There was one, I believe, at the beginning of last year. It was in a mall. It was in a food court.
I know this one, a Marine, I think,
Right?
a former Marine.
And no, it might have been a
was it
former Marine,
often?
but
Like
it was a younger kid.
Yeah.
It was someone much younger than me.
Yeah.
He happened to be on the other side of the food court.
Yeah.
And this shooting started, and he took out, everybody went to the ground and gave him a clear shot.
Yeah.
And he was something like 75 feet away,
Yeah.
and he got off a headshot. Guy goes down, no one else is dead.
That's right. And when the
Right?
police got there,
So
his gun was already
when-
on the ground.
Yeah, and he knew exactly what to do in that situation because he trained himself both in the firearm and in the aftermath.
Yeah.
And so when it does happen, it's good, right? We have examples where a good guy with a gun in a place that you wouldn't think people have guns, again, a mall, because
Yeah.
I'm still betting that mall had a sign up,
Yeah.
because most malls do.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
But he ignored the sign because it's
course
not
he did.
against the law. He can be trespassed by the private owner.
Only
But
later.
it's not against the law for him to ignore that sign.
In New Hampshire.
Well, again, that's
that
right.
state too, whatever
in,
that
in
was.
particular states, right? So those laws, those signs are not necessarily enforceable. But we have those examples
Mm-hmm.
where we can say, yeah, if there's somebody in the crowd with a firearm, it stops, and it stops like that.
Yeah. It usually does.
Because that's the other thing about a criminal, and criminals are either too stupid or too afraid to live in the law-abiding world with the rest of us.
Yes.
And one of the things that makes that evident is when they plan this. Oh, I'm going to go into this gun-free zone and I'm going to have my way.
Yeah.
But as soon as something gets in their way, as soon as something doesn't go the way they expected,
To include a
it's
jamming
over.
gun. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What
Because
does
they
that
don't
say?
train
The
themselves.
best laid plans never survive the first shot. Or
Yeah,
something
the
like
first
that?
encounter with the enemy. Yeah,
So-
and you're absolutely right in that, and that's why I lean towards, you know what, let's pass this, and if we need to fine tune it, we'll fine tune it. But first, let's get. We're violating their rights. There's people in that classroom, in those classrooms, and there's no cops there. You know, there's a couple on duty at a time, and it's going to take them minutes to get there. He said 90 seconds. I didn't want to say I don't believe that, but that's
I don't
pretty.
know. How long did it take the Uvalde police to get into the building?
Well, you had
Right?
police who were scared and refused to go in. That.
Right.
I mean, and
You had-
they have no duty to protect you. By the Supreme Court has said law enforcement does not have a duty to protect you. So you can't prosecute them for being scared and not going in there. So what are we saying? We're stripping you of your right to defend yourself, and we're not going to protect you, back to your point. So
Yeah.
I feel like we need to get this through. If the Senate wants to fine-tune it to make it a little, give them some authority over certain limited restrictions like football games. I can't really think of any other beyond that, but
No.
yeah.
And you know,
And train them.
Yeah.
You teach them, if there's a shooting and you take out your firearm, when it is done and safe to do so, put your firearm on the ground and identify yourself to the first officer you see. Don't stand there with the gun in your hand.
Right.
It's a problem solved.
And it just defies all logic how we've gotten here. I went to a high school that had a shooting range in the basement.
God bless. Yeah.
Right?
Well, that brings my bill last year, remember?
Folks would show up with a .22 rifle to be on the shooting team. But what the arguments about, hey, we got frat houses and they're all drinking and they're all partying, I don't like that argument. Right? Obviously, that's a dangerous situation.
It was laid bare today, though, by the way, because the frat houses aren't on campus property. They already have guns.
Right.
It's only the people
Well,
inside.
there's that too. But if that's your argument, then my counter to that is, well, if you've got a campus full of partying and drinking going on, where's the education? You're focused on a piece of
Yeah.
social life that is outside of school and campus responsibility and campus hours.
And freshmen
Right?
aren't old enough,
Like,
so how are they drinking?
Are you telling me that the universities are nothing but a bunch of party houses? Because if that's the case, why is the government even giving the university any funding in the first place?
Exactly.
If all they're doing is turning out partiers.
Yeah.
Right?
Crack down on the
This is
partying.
an educational system, an educational forum that we need to be focused on that part, right? And if
Yeah.
you're using the partying as an excuse, well, then there's a behavior and a priority
Yeah.
disconnect there.
These people are supposed to be learning to be adults right now.
Right.
This is where they segue into adults.
And this is part of being an adult.
Yeah, it is. Being able to defend yourself and understand your situation.
I went to Maine Maritime Academy. Again, we not only had a shooting range on campus, the shooting range was inside the dormitory.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Right? You
Yeah.
go downstairs and you check out your gun and you boom, 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 right?
Wow, that's great.
So
I went to college actually while I was in the Army through distance learning in Germany. And at the time, and I use this today, at the time you weren't allowed to have a weapon in the barracks. Everything had to be checked in at armorers. But we saw what happened. You started getting shootings on military bases. And now they've decided we're going to arm the troops. They can have a gun. And it's the same thing into universities.
and I don't know why that's I don't know why that's not the case to begin with, because I saw that earlier this year, because we had these things down in Texas. There are a couple of base shootings.
Yeah.
Right? Why aren't folks in the military allowed to arm themselves?
Yeah.
They're trained.
And they're targets.
Right?
Yeah, they're trained better than
Right?
anybody. Yeah.
Or like the National Guard folks in New York that were gunned down recently.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Why aren't they allowed to carry?
Yeah, it's
You're
because of the
in
Constitution.
uniform,
We've gotten away
You're
from it.
trained.
Yeah.
If anybody should be armed, it should and be able to protect them. So, like you said, the fact that they're in a uniform makes them a target,
Yes.
especially in today's world.
Yeah. Well, if they're on the base is a target anyway. And the fact that they're walking around in uniform, I know that guy's a soldier. That guy's a soldier. Like I said, it's the Constitution. We have allowed the left over the last probably 50 years, to get this whole idea that we're letting you do this. We're allowing this. We may allow.
Exactly. The Constitution is there to restrict the government, not to grant anything to the people.
I had a person today try to use the argument with me. Well, the first three words say are regulated. I said, hey, stop. The Supreme Court's already ruled on that. Do you accept them as the supreme law and interpreter of the Constitution or not? Because you can't have it both ways. And the Supreme Court has said that militia thing meant all the people. It meant we are the militia. You didn't have to be in a organized militia. So I don't even want to hear that argument.
Never mind. Each of the amendments, you can look at it, has an example associated with it.
Yeah.
Freedom of the press.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech is freedom of the press.
Yes.
Freedom to assemble. These are the examples of your freedom of speech.
Yes.
Right? The regulated militia is an example of your freedom to own and carry, to keep and bear arms.
What they were basically saying is everybody needs a gun because we need to be able to call up everybody to defend us. That's what they were saying.
Right.
At the time, if you go back, and the Supreme Court did a great job when they went back in the Heller decision, and they parsed all that language, and they went back and looked at documents from the time, and they said that's not what it means. It means everybody can have a gun. And thank God that happened, because things have gone the right way for years now. And there's another case.
We've got some positive things going on.
There's a case right now that they just took. Did they just hear all arguments on it about whether or not Hawaii says you can't go into a private business with a gun unless you have permission first. So in other words, you couldn't go into Best Buy unless you had permission from Best Buy to carry it. And the Supreme Court took the case, and I think the ruling is going to be expansive, and it's going to mess up a lot of these leftist states' gun laws.
It's going to mess up every one of those no gun signs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I hope. I don't think they would have taken it with the majority they have if they weren't going to do that.
Right.
So that's a good sign. My hard labor bill passed last week.
Tell us about that one.
So I wrote a bill that, I've spent quite a few years, like I said, in this, and I'm looking at how much we spend on each prisoner and what they do while they're in there. And we have people that are in there doing life, taking courses, reading their iPads, and the people who are outside that are victims, or their family because they're dead, are living through that horror every day. And I said, that's wrong. That's wrong. Those people need to have to remember why they're there on a daily basis. So for two specific crimes, capital murder and the rape of a child under the age of 13, the jury may sentence you to hard labor. And hard labor means what the commissioner determines it. We left it to him because he has the staffing, whether or not I can bring people outside the wall or not. But it says it will be punitive in nature, and it will be hard work, and it will be for 5 days a week, 8 hours a day.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because the rest of us have to work 5 days a week.
Yeah, it's called a career. Yeah.
And to have a prisoner sitting, what do they get? An hour, 2 out of their cells every day? It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on where they are, But aside from that, they're sitting in their cell. Mm-hmm. Like you said, reading.
They get iPads.
They can get radios. They can get iPads. They've got a TV in a lounge room. Mm-hmm. They've got 3 meals a day.
All the medical care.
Meanwhile, their victims are out here struggling to pay their rent and not being able to pay the doctors and buy the prescriptions they need.
Yeah. Or they're a mental health wreck. I mean, if you're under 13 and you're raped, the rest of your life is going to be defined by that moment. You're going to be in therapy. You're never going to forget it. While the guy who did it gets to sit and lay up or work out and get stronger for when he gets out. No, if you're going to work, it's going to be something not fun.
I never understood that either. Why are we giving dumbbells to prisoners?
When I was a cop, I used to say the same thing. I arrest a guy for possessing drugs. He looks like a wiry crackhead, because back at the time when I was, crack was the thing, and he comes out bigger than me. And I'm like, I'm sending them to get to be better criminals.
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
It does not at all. I think we've given the left power over way too many things for too many years, and it's become so ingrained. A lot of people think, well, that's just the way it is, but it doesn't have to be. So we're trying to change it a little bit at a time. One, that's how you eat the Democrat elephant, one bite at a time.
So the hard labor bill, has that been heard yet?
Yeah, it's passed the House. It's gone to the Senate.
During the hearings, did anyone come up with the phrase "cruel and unusual punishment"?
Randomly in passing, one did, but that's
you can't be cruel and unusual. It's in the Constitution.
No, the Supreme Court's already said hard labor. It doesn't. And as a matter of fact, the Constitution specifically says you can't be forced to do labor except for in the case of punishment for a crime. And our New Hampshire Constitution mirrors it. So it's explicitly there. So you can't use the Constitution. But what they did use was they said, we're going to start labor camps like North Korea. First of all,
we're not going to get there, but there's a few people that I think deserve to be there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I won't say their names.
But I'd rather send them there and let the North Koreans do it. We're not going to have labor camps. I mean, we don't have, first of all, if we wanted to, we don't have the staff, we can't afford it. We just, we just want the people that commit the most heinous crimes to not be able to just relax and forget about it and read a book, while the people who are victims are out here trying to hold their life together, if they have a life at all. It's just, it's wrong. And we have the people that do it, won't cost us any. As a matter of fact, we might even make some money off it. Who knows? If we put them to work in agriculture or on the roads, we're paying people to work on the roads. Let's not pay someone, let's use this person. There's ways to do it so the offset if there's any extra cost.
And how does that, I don't know, someone who's sentenced to hard labor and who has committed one of these horrible crimes, I would think that these are the type of people who would be motivated to escape.
Yeah.
So bringing them outside the wall is a little bit dangerous.
That was one of the arguments.
So was someone talking, did you get some arguments about chain gangs, right? Bringing back chain gangs.
I did. One of the interesting arguments was a representative from Nashua, I won't say her name, but these people are too dangerous to let outside the walls, and it's a public safety thing. And I said, wasn't it you who we should pass a bill to let people who are in life with prison without parole have a chance of parole? If they're too dangerous to get out and work, why do you want to let them out free? Your arguments don't match. And frankly, we do have the staff and the firearms. If a person tries to escape and they're on that, they can be shot. It's their choice. I don't think we need to chain anybody together. We don't even have that many prisoners that would fall under this yet. Hopefully we don't have that many. But it's something manageable. And if that's why I left the commissioner the authority. If you've got someone that's just pure evil and No, don't take them outside the wall. Put them to work inside. Order up a pile of sand from the DPW, have him put it one place and tell him move it 10 feet, and then tomorrow tell him to move it back, and just keep doing that. Whatever it you go to Leavenworth and you're in the military, you're breaking big rocks into small rocks, and for no reason whatsoever. And so that makes you think about why you're there. It's not about let's give these people career skills. They're in there for life. It's about letting them not forget.
That's the other side of this. Yeah. There are folks who maybe aren't in there for life. Maybe they're in there for 10 years, 12 years, or whatever. But during that period of time, they're getting free education as well.
Yeah.
We're educating these people, and meanwhile, I'm out here paying taxes, both to my local school board.
Oh yeah.
Which is another big.
That's a whole other show.
Yeah. For something on the order of $30,000 per student. And students are coming out not being able to read or write after graduating.
Yeah.
Like why?
They brag 56% proficiency. Oh, that's a good thing. That 44% can't.
75% would be bad. I mean, that you should at least be able to be proficient. If you have a diploma. A diploma means you're proficient at all of the things that you learned.
Yes.
Right? You don't come out with 56% of the people who get a diploma are proficient. That is a failure of the public school teachers.
If you look at other countries, because that's what we need to do. This is a global economy. You look at our competitors; they're coming out with 85 to 95% proficient.
Right.
We're 30% behind them.
No, teachers have been told, don't fail anybody.
Yeah.
They've been told, no child left behind.
Yeah. Don't leave them behind. Just make them repeat it.
That doesn't mean that you just pass them and move them forward, right? Someone who's not doing the work doesn't deserve the reward.
And it leads to criminality. Back to the beginning of our show. People who come out with or aren't proficient in math and aren't proficient in reading and can't get good jobs, they end up, a lot of them, going down the path of criminal drug use, things like this. The statistics are clear. So we're not, it's not everything connects on a certain level. And when you're not educating your citizenry properly, you end up with more criminals.
So that leads me back to the criminals getting educations inside. I don't know that I have a problem with handing them a couple of textbooks and a GED test.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. But when it goes beyond that, and we are doing that, we see criminals going in without a high school diploma because because of all the reasons you just said.
Yeah.
But they come out with an associate's degree in something.
Yeah.
Like how that's something I have to pay for.
Yeah.
How does a criminal inside get an associate's degree or even a 4-year degree in anything while they're behind bars? They're supposed to be being punished, not being educated.
Well, this is a really difficult
like I said, there's a balance there. Like I said, I don't have a problem throwing a couple of textbooks at them and a GED test. Because that anybody can do, right? I can do that by going to the public library and doing it for free. I can get myself a GED for free by doing that. But I can't get a degree or associate's degree or on-the-job training for free the way a prisoner can.
It's a balance, because you look at this, okay, if I don't help this person get further when they get out, what are the chances of recidivism? And how much is that going to cost me to put them in there again? So the question but here's the thing though, we own a university system, so it shouldn't cost us anything to give a little bit of an education. But there's got to be something attached to that, because it's not fair to the people who decided not to commit crimes who have student loans. So I can understand the argument, we have to help these folks or give them an opportunity, because it's a rehabilitation as well as punishment, but not to the extent that someone who didn't need rehabilitation and punishment has to pay for the exact same thing. So we have to find that balance.
How about something simple? Right? I mean, I'll be honest here. I don't have a college degree. I went to college, but I left. I have a high school diploma. I went to college. I paid for college. But everything else I've done in my career is all self-taught and experience-based. Right? I didn't really need that piece of paper. I didn't need that certificate. Right? Because I was able to educate myself. I had that motivation.
And I know where you're going, and I think you're correct.
So why don't we offer the materials to
Better
folks
yet,
inside?
what about trades? Why don't you teach them to be plumbers?
Right. Well, I actually have a friend who was the in-house plumber over at Valley Street.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yeah.
He wasn't a prisoner.
Yeah.
Right. He was their plumber, their maintenance person.
Civilian hired. Yeah.
He goes to work every day. I don't know. I don't think he still works there, but he did for 10, 15 years. Goes to work every day. He's the plumber. He maintains everything that's in Valley Street in the entire building.
That's a lot of stuff.
When he needed assistance,
Yeah.
the COs would say, hey, so-and-so's been on good behavior and whatnot, if you need help. And they tag along and they learn.
Yes, that's
they
perfect.
learn,
Apprenticeship,
right?
almost, yeah.
But I'm not giving them any paid apprenticeship. I'm not giving them a certificate at the end. I'm letting them learn if they want to learn.
And if they're good at it, they can pursue it when they get out.
Exactly. And, as far as, like you said, we own a university system.
Mm-hmm.
We have lots of professors that are on the state payroll, right?
Yeah. Go in and give them some basic courses.
Set up a video camera in one of his lecture halls.
Yeah.
Take that video and put it on the shelf at the prison library.
Yeah.
You want to watch you want to learn something?
Yeah.
Here, watch these seminars.
Yeah. And if you pay attention, you can get out and take CLEP tests. And if you pass them, you're almost halfway to your grade.
But we're not going to give it to you.
No, you're correct.
We can give you the materials, we can give you the opportunity to learn, but it's up to you to do it, and we're not going to give you a certificate that costs somebody on the outside $100,000 in 4 years of their life.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, right now, I think we are giving degrees. Some states, you can go in and become a lawyer and sue your way out of court.
Exactly.
Sue your way out of jail.
We see that all the time.
Yeah. So I think that in this state, it's not quite that bad. But there's a really bright divided line in the population of this state as to whether we should be more punitive or rehabilitative. And I think that we need to have those conversations about, okay, I agree. If you're getting out again, I want a better person coming out of there than went in.
I agree with that.
But I don't want him better than me because he went in. And that's what we have to get to. We need to teach a man to fish. And when he gets out, he can pursue whatever we gave him, the seeds we planted. If he took some small courses in this, he helped in plumbing, some carpentry stuff. Hey, I was pretty good at this. I'm going to go over here and see if I can get a job and learn some more. But as far as setting them up for a six-figure, we need to draw the line, I think. Right. I say, enable, lead them to water, but they got to decide to drink on their own. And that begins with not becoming a criminal again when you get out. And you learn that not by being gifts while you're in there. That's not.
And I think that's really where it is folks, they learn to live inside, and we see it so often. Somebody will get out and they won't have any place to go, and so they'll immediately commit a crime just to get back into.
Yeah, I have a funny story I always tell. Back when I was a cop, this is back in the early 90s, there was this one fella. He wasn't much of a problem. He's like a town drunk. He'd come around. Well, one year, and I was told by the older guys he did this type of thing all the time. One year, it was right before Christmas. It was starting to get cold. He picked up a toilet he found somewhere and threw it through the window of a store and just stood there and waited. And I came and I said, dude, what really? He goes, it's getting cold. I need to go in for the winter. I said, oh, you're under arrest. You got your wish. And that's the type of mentality, I'm sure it's worse now, that some people have. It's like, well, I'm going to get from the government one way or the other.
It's incredible that we've gotten to the point where that's what they learn inside.
Yeah.
They learn that inside is easy and warm.
Yeah, it's warm, 3 hots in a cot. Why should I stay out here and freeze or go try and work somewhere for menial money? And it's horrible. We need a total revamp of our society, unfortunately, because we've let the wrong people lead us in our education systems, in our government, in all kinds of things. We've turned a blind eye and paid attention with our nose to the grindstone and worked and paid our taxes, and we're starting to look up going, where the hell are we? I don't even recognize this place. And we're going to have to fight to take it back, and it's going to be a fight. and I'm nervous about the next election cycle because the midterms are never good for the party that's in power. And right now, the Hampshire citizens are frankly, built BS because their property taxes are going through the roof. And I have yet to see a good plan and policy to fix it. I mean, we did some things by saying you can have these accessory dwellings. Well, do you know how much it costs to put up an accessory dwelling? It's $100 grand at least.
I have one. I know 3 people have put one up in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
One cost just over $100,000. Another one was over 200.
Yeah. So the average person
just to build on to an existing facility.
Can't be bigger than 900 square feet. So.
Well, the living area can't be, but never mind that. The accessory dwelling comes with other things, right? It comes with the idea that now there's a separate dwelling.
Yeah, on your property.
And that separate dwelling is a separate address for the post office.
Yeah.
It's a separate address for the police and fire department.
That's
and
correct.
They need to know about that. Yeah. And there's one town who shall not be named. The administrative fee for letting the police, the post office, and the fire know that there's a separate dwelling is $4,000.
That's
right.
That's
so
criminal.
at the end of their everything's good. They're ready to get their occupancy permit, and they said, "Oh, you didn't pay the fee to add a dwelling," and it was $4,000.
I hope someone's taking that to court.
I guess most contractors know about that fee, but this particular contract didn't, and didn't add it into the estimate, so they had to come up with an extra $4,000 at the end, right before they got their occupancy permit for an ADU that was built onto an existing house that they already had paid off.
Yeah, and that the police obviously know where it is, and you could drive around yourself and notify those agencies.
Right.
The post office, you can do it online.
28.
Yeah.
Is right next to 28A.
Yeah.
It's not like the fire department's not going to find you.
I hear that, and that's criminal. That in my mind, that's criminal.
It was a $4,000 extra administrative fee just to add that dwelling to all of the paperwork in the town.
They're going to recoup any cost because you're going to pay more property taxes now that you've put this dwelling. Why do you have to do that to people? What we need to do, and I hate to say this because I do believe in local control, I really do. But this zoning is I mean, I have 6 acres, and I said, you know what, I'd like to sell off 2-acre lot. Well, I have to get a variance because we have a minimum 3 acres. And I need another variance, by the way, because we have to have 500 feet of frontage or some crazy thing. Well, my property was developed long before zoning, so I've got a weird shape. It goes kind of back. So I'm already not within variance for my frontage, and it will be even less. So I'm going to have to fight the town to sell a couple acres. And I don't have my only job is working at the State House because I'm a disabled vet. So all I have is my VA pay. I can't afford $100,000 for an accessory dwelling. I mean, I can barely afford my mortgage the way they keep raising my property taxes.
Yep.
So we got to do something. If people have property that they can sell and allow a new family to move in, who will also contribute to the property tax and spread it out a little bit, I feel like we'll have better lives and we won't be being choked out so much. But for some reason, these NIMBY folks, nope, we want to keep our bucolic, Okay.
And it's always the nickel and diamond. Like I said, the $4,000 fee, administrative fee for the new ADU. I think that just goes against all
I'm glad
intent.
you told me that. I think I'm going to, now that you told me that, I'm so mad I'm going to change a bill and
But
add it.
I can get you the details on what they call it. But that was essentially that was it. So hey, you had all the permits, you had all this, and you're
What
all
you
good,
paid for.
and you're ready for your occupancy permit. But now we have to notify all of these services so that everybody knows there's an extra building there or there's an extra unit there.
Yeah.
And
so you have to pay a month's salary for an employee to do that.
right. No, you're just adding a new line to a spreadsheet. That's all you're doing.
You're trying to fill a hole with my money.
And you just charge $4,000 for it. And So anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know whether anyone's ever going to get their money back from that, but we can certainly figure out how to stop the towns from doing that, because that
Yeah.
just goes into the town coffers.
When I heard that, that just made me so mad. I'm thinking of which bill I can kill and stick that in. Because it defeats. They're trying to. What they're doing is they're saying, okay, State House, you said we have to let people do this. We don't want to, so we're going to make it so expensive they can't. That's all they're doing.
I don't know if that fee's been in before this or not.
Well, it couldn't be. There was
but-
no such thing as an accessory dwelling unless it was attached to your house,
Right.
and that's an addition. So it's, I don't know.
Well, this was an addition
Yeah.
that they needed this for. It's all one giant building now. They just
Yeah.
added to it.
Uh-huh.
And they needed to pay this particular line item. And when I heard about it, I was livid.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
we talked about, I think, 2 of your bills
Yeah.
today.
What
We
else?
got a few minutes. You said there was more gun?
Oh
Or
yeah.
Was that
today-
the only gun one?
No,
that
no.
went
Today
through
was every day. I have since I've taken over as chair. I have what I call Gun Day. I take all the gun bills and I put them on one day, and it's good for the gun advocates, so they don't have to keep coming back up to the
Right.
State House. It's good for anyone else who wants to testify. We just take care of them all at once. Let me see, what else did we have? We had a good bill that we're going to pass. We didn't pass it yet, but I anticipate passing it. And it's really kind of an experiment. It's a challenge to the federal government that says if a firearm is made in New Hampshire and it's stamped New Hampshire, you can't tax it through your Commerce Clause overreach that you've been getting away with for all these years. It's not right. So.
Well, okay, so my understanding of the Interstate Commerce Clause, this is when Congress started overstepping.
Yes,
Back
big
in
time.
the early 1900s?
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
Like 1920s, 1930s?
I think it was 39, maybe,
Yeah.
or 36. I don't know, but in that
But
area.
the idea is that Congress gave themselves the ability to regulate interstate commerce.
Yeah.
Meaning that if you sold something and it went across state lines, they can tax it.
Yeah.
They can do something. But if it stays within the state, technically they don't have any.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So-
what we want to do is we want to get a case to the Supreme Court to have them say, wait a minute, the Commerce Clause was put in there so that states couldn't start taxing interstate commerce and messing up
Right.
between
Only
the states.
Congress has that power.
That's all it was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be so they could tax things and control things. It was only so they overstepped a lot. So we would like to, and if it's New Hampshire that does it with this law, good. Someone needs to get this before them because that was a huge overreach. If we make guns in New Hampshire that are stamped for New Hampshire only, if you leave the state, you're subject to criminal.
That's you. That's your
you.
problem.
That's correct. The federal government should have nothing to say about it because there's no commerce between states. It's only
Right.
made for us, New Hampshire citizens. If Zig makes a gun that for New Hampshire citizens only, I buy that. If I take it out of the state, that's my crime. But otherwise, leave me alone. You don't need to know about it, anything.
Right. And so one of the things that, one of the times this came up in my mind was a few years back. It might be over 10 or something like that. But it was a few years back where we were starting to outlaw incandescent bulbs.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody's moving on to the LED bulbs now, but that Congress had outlawed it and said, yeah, you can't have any bulbs over 60 watts, right? So now we all got to live in darkness.
Yeah,
right?
candles again.
Right? So 100-watt light bulbs were going to be outlawed.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But my thing was, wait a minute, we got light bulb manufacturers right here in New Hampshire. Philips is down there in Henniker, I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they can keep making the 100-watt light bulbs, and I'll keep buying them because I'm in New Hampshire, right?
Just set up a separate little line for us.
As long as it's not interstate commerce, they shouldn't have to shut down manufacturing, decent light bulbs for people.
But you know what will happen is the federal government will get them some other way. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We'll put some pressure on you here and say, hey, we wouldn't be putting this pressure on you if you stop making light bulbs that we don't like.
And that will happen with guns, too. That's why it's not going to be a big company like Zig or Sturm Ruger that makes a New Hampshire brand. It's going to be a small local manufacturer, somebody who says, you know what, I am going to go into business and machine some guns just for New Hampshire. And that's the person that someone like the NRA or one of these big groups will get behind and
Right.
fund the suit.
Right,
When-
because the big guys, they make
too
their
much to
money
lose.
on the rest of the world.
Yeah, Zig sells
well,
the
they've got the federal contract with the Army, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So they're not going to jeopardize that by making.
Are they still
500
selling the Army the guns that keep going off without anybody touching them?
No, a lot of that was overblown. There were a few, and I think there were actually many more people who thought they might be able to make some money off it. Is what happened. And that's another bill that we heard today that I'm going to kill. They want to be able to sue gun manufacturers.
No.
No.
No one's suing Chevrolet every time someone gets behind the wheel and drinking and driving.
Exactly.
Right?
I want to sue Hostess because I got fat because I ate
Yep.
a lot of these. No.
Sue the silverware company for selling me the spoon.
And what's worse is none of those things are constitutionally guaranteed. They're trying to,
Right.
okay, we can't take the
They're
guns
only
away.
touching a constitutionally guaranteed right.
But they won't acknowledge that. That's the problem with the Democrat. When you ask them, you understand it says right there, they go, well, regular. We've already dealt with that. They have no more answer. They just will not acknowledge. They're like, la, la, la. It's right in front of your face. If I was doing this with the First Amendment, you'd go bananas, and you should.
Right.
But this one you don't care about so much. And that's not how this works. We all have to get on board and agree this is our document, everything in it. If you don't like it, get 2/3 of the states to change it. And you can't, so you're just going
Right.
to keep trying to whittle away at it. And as far as, in New Hampshire, I'm not going to stand for it. As long as I'm there and I have any kind of power whatsoever, I am going to kill every attempt to infringe on people's legal rights to carry firearms.
So that one should die pretty easily this term.
Yeah, that's
because we've got the majority everywhere.
Yeah, they're not going to pass any anti-Second Amendment bills this year. But I'm scared. People need to understand. I don't care how mad you are at the Republicans. You better get out and vote in November because you're going to be a lot madder if the Democrats take over. Because you'll say the first thing they'll do is say your property taxes are too high. We need an income tax. We need a sales tax. You are going to be taxed like you've never seen if they get in office.
So, and their argument there will be, well, if we do an income tax and a sales tax, then that'll start lowering your property
Yeah, it'll be
taxes. No, it
spread out.
won't.
No, and
you find me one school district who's going to give up money
yeah.
because you started taxing me on my paycheck.
Yeah.
Not one.
I've actually had an interesting idea I'm going to try and float, and I'll start it with you. We're getting hammered by education teachers unions, okay? And what happens is you have these little towns where you have folks that really, have never really had to deal with union negotiations before get elected to the school board. The state or the national sends in an attorney to negotiate the contract every 4 years. And damned if they don't convince them to give them more money and more benefits and more hidden benefits every single time.
Right.
So what if we made all the teachers in the state have to negotiate one contract with the state, and we had a state labor attorney on the other side of the table and said, okay, if you're a teacher in New Hampshire, you start at this level. I don't care what town you're in. Because right now the towns are saying, give us money, we need money. Well, we have no say in how much you're hiring these superintendents that are making more than the governor. Why should we give you money? We have no say, and you're just going to keep driving it up. So unless they give us a say in how much they're spending, I don't think we should give them a penny. I mean, they're hiring teachers. In my town, the average teacher makes like $85,000. And that doesn't count all the benefits and vacation, which, by the way, how do you get since you've already got the whole summer off?
And every one of them is crying poor,
Yeah.
and wanting the parents to start supplying all the school supplies that should be paid for
With all that money.
With all that money.
Yeah. Something has to be done at a drastic level with our education, because that's the thing that's really dragging everything down. That's why it's 70% of your property taxes. If people would just take a minute to go online and look at the contract, every town has their, I believe, every SAU has the contract for the teachers. Compare that to where you work and tell me if you have those kind of benefits. Nobody has that. Their full retirement, having the whole summer off plus 30 days vacation, sick days, sabbatical days.
Where are they taking those 30 days during this? Because they've got all the school vacations.
Yeah.
plus 30 days?
Yeah, some of them, it depends how long they've been there. I mean, if you look, that's what I look at first. I don't look at the numbers, I look at the
You're working less
fringes.
than 5 months a year at this point.
Exactly. I had the exact number of days at one point. And listen, I love teachers. I hate to bash them. I mean, and frankly, if people were giving me money, I'd probably take it too. But it's our job to say no, okay? It's like kids. If you're a kid and you can get all the cookies you want, you're going to eat them. It's the parent's job to say, no, that's enough. And at some point, we have to say the teachers are making more than the people that are actually supporting them, and the people out here are scratching trying to pay their mortgage because it keeps going up every time the taxes go up.
Well, one of the things that always bothers me during town meeting session time, when we go in and we have, so in my town we have the school board session, we have the town session, and then we actually have the voting day, right?
Yeah.
In these sessions, these are all day. These are like 8 o'clock in the morning to like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just fighting over all the budget, the warrant articles and whatnot. And you get maybe 50, 60 people show up.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you get the town, you get 12,000 people show up. And
You mean the school? Yeah.
well, 12,000 people show up to vote.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? And they're voting on articles and language in the articles that only 50 people in the town voted to put in there.
Yeah. And they don't know a lot about.
Right. And so it's very frustrating. And then when you go into these, they are stacked with, I don't know where they find these people, but they're stacked with speakers and people who are the liberals.
Yeah,
right?
and they will delay intentionally to make you go home.
Exactly.
They'll push stuff
Because
back and back.
They'll put all of the things that conservatives are interested in as the last item,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it'll be Article 25. That's the big one that's going to cost me money, but
You got to stay 9 hours.
I got to be there for 9 hours.
Yeah.
And so
It's a waiting game. It's
that annoys me.
Yeah.
But what happens in these meetings is that we decide on the language of the bills, and we also decide on there's some money involved,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
we have you know, like they have the school board meetings. They'll have all the teachers who live in town.
Yeah.
But then they'll have a whole bunch of teachers who don't live in town
Come to speak.
come to speak, and they say that they get to speak because, but that's not the case anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like someone who doesn't live here gets to speak about
Telling me why you got to pay taxes.
right, but then those people are told, right, they're like marked, right, they don't get their badge that says they're allowed to vote.
Right.
But when there's a voice vote, you can bet
yelling.
your butt that they're screaming just as much as the rest of them.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
And so that annoys me. The other side that annoys me, it's not just with the teachers, but it's with the teachers, and it's with the fire, and it's with the police, and it's with the DPW. All of these union contracts are negotiated behind closed doors.
Yeah, that's also a problem. Yep, absolutely.
That angers me to no end.
Yeah.
Because I want to know how they came up with these numbers.
Yeah, what was the
Right?
horse trading that went on there?
And less so for the police, the fire, and even the DPW. I don't begrudge these folks a raise.
Yeah.
A raise.
They're not getting
but,
rich.
But
like
with the teachers union, we know that's 70%. Like you said, it's 70% of my tax rate.
Yeah.
And we've got teachers who are turning out, and we can see their performance.
Yeah.
They're turning out students who can't read.
Yeah.
Whereas I can see that the police are keeping my streets safe.
Yes.
I can see that the fire department is showing up when there's a problem.
But the poor DPW gets a bad rap because they're not paving the holes because they don't have any money because it all went to the school.
Exactly. So, like I said, I don't begrudge these folks
No.
their raises, and I don't even begrudge the teachers their raises. I want to know how they came up with the numbers,
Yeah.
though.
Listen, you're talking about 20% raises
because
over one contract.
Right, and they'll do a contract that's good for like 4 years.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so during that 4 years, COVID happens, and none of the rest of the planet is getting a raise, but they're guaranteed a raise.
Automatic. Plus a step raise.
And they get to sit at home
Yeah.
and teach from home.
Yeah.
Right? So that bugs me, because all of the people paying their salaries, we're not getting raises.
No, nobody is that I'm aware of.
So that's why the closed door sessions negotiating these contracts, I want that to go away.
Yeah.
How do we make that go away?
Well, we could probably pass a law that said it has to be open to the public. It may end up in the courts forever, because I'd have to really research the constitutional law about the ability of private entity, which is the union, with a public entity, which is the town, entering into a. It should seems to me
the law should say if a private entity is going to negotiate with a public entity for public money, then the negotiations should be in public.
I agree 100%.
That's how that should work.
Sunlight is the
Two private
best.
entities, they can negotiate in private all they want. I don't care. But
None
if
of my
you're
business.
negotiating for public money, then you're going to negotiate in public.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, you know what, I will, and you can hold me to this, send me an email to remind me to look into that, because that's another. I've got 80 bills. I'd say probably 60 of the 80 are junk, and I'm going to use them as vehicles for other things with something called a non-germane amendment, and I can scrap the whole bill and rewrite a brand new bill. And if one of them needs to be public school contracts have to be negotiated in public, that might be the thing to do.
I'd like to see that. I've been waiting for that for a long time, because when I go to these town meetings, my blood just boils.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both. I'm honest. If we get another increase, I may have to sell. I can't. Right now, I'm at the point saying maybe I can get a
My
variance.
taxes have gone up over $1,000
Yeah.
every single year
Yeah.
for the last 4 years.
Has your pay gone up over 1,000?
No.
No.
I've
And what
gotten-
about Social Security? These older people who have worked their whole lives, paid off their house, and they say, okay, I can live now because I get this much every year. This is my budget. No.
How about we do a Tennessee type thing? We only got a minute or so.
Okay.
But you know, Tennessee's a great place for retirees.
Yeah.
You don't think about it, but in Tennessee, when you buy your house,
Yeah.
your taxes on the day that you sign the mortgage
Are frozen?
are frozen forever.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So the tax rate around you
Yeah.
can go up,
Yeah.
but that only applies to the people who are buying it. Okay, I'm going to buy a house. This is my taxes.
This is how much I can afford?
These are my annual taxes, and my annual taxes will never go up, not by 1 penny, right? They can raise taxes for people who are coming in to buy,
Yeah.
but at the moment that you buy your house, that's your tax rate until the day you die,
That's
if
it.
you keep that house.
In a great many
And
states.
seniors can